I think this is going to be a particularly interesting rewatch video because I've already talked about this episode in my Mr. Enter review. Most of what I talked about were criticisms addressed at the show in general. I thought it'd be interesting to actually look at this episode and go through it. General thoughts going into it, since I've seen it before. I don't think it's one of the strongest episodes, but I do think it has some really, really good ideas in it. So, that being said, oh, it's also a two-parter, so I will try not to turn into the sweary fairy on the way to Smutville. That being said, here is The Substitute.
Angela, where do you think Brinks is? How should I know, Johnny Abadi, my dim best friend?
Oh, the awkward exposition there.
Like not picking my rainforest project.
I thought Enter was a little harsh on that. I think it's funny.
Breakfast at my house.
This must be another early episode, too.
Mom, they took all the fruit again and didn't leave me any milk either.
Did someone say milk?
I still wonder what Mark and Derek did to it.
Attention students in room 9. Your teacher, Mrs. Brinks, is ill and will not be coming in today.
Oh, the music does make it sound like she died. That's so funny.
Your substitute
Dark
teacher
humor.
will be in shortly.
What are we supposed to do with our homework? Whatever we want. How immature. Good idea, Johnny Abadi. See, Angela, I'm putting gum on it for extra weight, like a stealth bomber.
Nice handwriting.
Uh-oh.
Anyone here named Angela?
That's Angela right there. Thanks,
And there's
Johnny.
Jerry. Establishing character moment. Hitting the net in the head.
You can call me Jerry.
Excuse me, Miss Clump, but as class
Okay, this one is an interesting moment because Enter, what he said about this particular moment here is that he said, oh, Nanette's class monitor, she's just doing her job. I disagree with that here because what I see when I see this, Angela, speak. Anyways, what I see when I watch that is Nanette's offering her unsolicited opinion and interrupting the teacher, being annoying.
What's your angle, hon?
And Jerry actively asks her, oh, what does she want to do? Can you defend your position?
Young lady, that's not a project. That's a peck full of poppycock.
So it's
she's a teacher?
it's interesting. I wish they used this character a bit more. Oh, we're about to get to the cannibalism joke. Yes!
About my chapter on Amazon Crunch, a delicious, high-protein snack that is available at your local grocers.
You could always do cannibals.
Yeah!
I'll have the crepe nanette with a side of mashed Derek and some macaroni and cheese.
Oh my god, Mark and Derek are in the cannibalism revenge fantasy too! Yes! Even darker than I imagined.
Hey, can I have it for the necklace?
That's actually not the only cannibalism joke in here.
What's the headhunters wear?
Oh, and Gordy's not sitting with them. Whoa. Must be an early episode because I've noticed Gordy's not really hanging out with the group as much.
Say, Angela, this seat taken?
Are you talking to me?
Never forget a face full of freckles.
Aw.
Yoo-hoo, Miss Plump. There's plenty of room at the pop.
This is something I do think is weird, and I don't know if it's just cultural differences, but I find it so weird that the teachers are eating with the students. And we've seen Miss Brinks having picnics with Nanette as well.
Miss Plump, or perhaps
I find it so strange.
which is Japanese for cucumber bowl.
Do they not have a teacher's lounge?
Thanks, Janet.
It's Nanette. My name is Nanette.
Sorry, kid.
So-
First day. I've been around headhunters, made me feel less jumpy than those three.
Yeah, focusing on the episode. I've got a lot to say on this one.
Not once or twice. Nice bunch of guys, but I wouldn't recommend them for a haircut.
Gordy's sitting behind them. I'm still kind of upset about that.
Well, then there's
Okay.
your project.
Hey, it's in my popsicle stick collection.
They collect popsicle. Derek collects popsicle sticks?
Some glue that only sticks to where you
I
want it to
wonder
stick.
why.
Right, kid?
That's interesting.
Girl, down.
Yeah, but I think it's a little strange that the teachers eat with the students, but again, it's... I thought it was weird, but it could just be this was more of a thing in a different time and place. Oh, Oh, hey, baby Lulu. Hey, it'll cushion the blow. I'll get some more of my analysis on Jerry later, because there's a lot to unpack with this episode.
Now all I need is straw for the roof. Thanks, Scamper. I owe you one.
Whoa. She's a pet gerbil? Also, that door is open. That gerbil's gonna get out. Oh, goddamn. End of the first part. I was so enraptured. Okay. And Annette's trying to get attention.
I brought you these beautiful flowers and had our private chef Alfredo prepare this basket of gourmet delicacies, especially for
Yeah,
you.
this is another
You
one
will like
that's...
pâté, which is French for pâté.
Huh.
Sorry, Toots, but I'm strictly vegetarian. And I haven't been able to look at a gladiola since Great Aunt Augusta passed.
I know
So
Nanette's
anyway,
trying to suck up here. I don't think...
Nanette. My name is Nanette.
Aside from purposely forgetting her name, I don't think Jerry's all that rude to her. And then she goes to Miss Brinks' house because she knows she can suck up to her and get whatever she wants.
Is Mrs. Brinks in?
Poor Mr. Brinks. I know what he thinks of her.
Someone ate all those popsicles.
Be careful. It's still wet.
Whoa, those extras.
Hey, I'm stuck. I can't
Johnny!
touch it. You said it's still wet.
What is all the fuss about?
Oh, Johnny.
Treehouse made out of popsicle sticks. Pretty impressive, huh? You call
Yeah.
that impressive?
Another early episode, you can tell by the motion, the body composition. Gordy's not with them. See, Chris, I finally noticed, and I'm gonna point it out more.
Coming, John?
Uh-oh, Nanette breaks the project.
Now look what you did! You ruined my endangered crocodile shoes! Disgusting!
My stills house that I worked on.
Those
and worked
extras.
on. And now it looks like I didn't do my project.
Don't worry, Angela.
Whoa.
We'll fix it. Remember?
Those look like adults' faces.
Brinks.
Angela Anaconda, this is your 7th tardy this month.
But, Mrs. Brinks, it's only Monday the 5th.
Oh no, Mrs.
Dang it, Miss Brinks. Looking for,
Mrs. Brinks, to you, yes?
looking for more reasons to get Angela in trouble.
Flowers of Nanette Manoir's superb pâté.
It was my pleasure, Mrs. Brinks. Too bad the joyous occasion of your return has been marred by all this gluey debris.
Oh, her hair didn't bounce that time when she fluffed it.
Rainforest project.
Very funny, young lady. Now clean up this mess immediately.
Miss Brinks' voice also a little different. Early up.
Can I use
Episode.
Nico's mop head for a mop?
Oh, that could have been a revenge fantasy. And here we get to the revenge fantasy. Oh my god, Baby Lulu with the... is the background dancers. That's funny.
Mrs. Brinks.
Okay, Enter thought that was weird and questionable imagery. I disagree.
Amazon to officially
There's more questionable imagery in this. That's not it. Again, I have nothing against Mr. Enter. He's a right to his opinion. I have...
Our friend. It tells my little
He
minute
tends to get a lot of
songs
criticism
by a
online.
clown in times of
I make fun of it, his
downpours.
review only in good fun.
But I almost forgot.
And I do
Little
disagree
Minnie
with a lot of
Mrs.
points he
Brinks
makes.
don't speak drum. They're too busy trying to speak French, which they don't know either.
Also, there's an air vent in this revenge fantasy that they're using. What's it plugged into?
Cha-cha heels. One thing I neglected to tell you, my soggy former teacher and her wet pet. When you're in the Amazon, it helps to have friends in high places.
Friends in high places. I will say that. I'll say more about that at the end. Yay, Jerry! Somebody who's positive in a revenge fantasy. That's a pretty slow-moving tide. I think they can get out. Cool.
Dang, here we're trying to send you banana leaf rescue rockets to save you, and we end up knocking you right into the raging river.
Woohoo!
Just a darn shame, huh, Angela?
Now, their only hope is if the crocodiles whose relatives they have used for shoes decide to help them or not. Oh no! Our friends are in danger!
This is funny because, yeah, they would have gotten eaten.
Darling poet, much obliged.
That crocodile was British. Yay!
Huh?
Look what you've done! When you finish,
Aw.
you can take yourself straight to the principal's office, miss.
The principal will see you now. Oh. Jerry!
Hey! realistic, but I still find that a fun twist.
Personally, I think they got it from eating those mini subs. So, what you in for, hon?
Mrs. Brinks didn't like my project, or what's left of it. I think you're supposed to punish me.
Aw.
Punishment is an unfortunate construct of Western civilization, hon.
I disagree with that.
But revenge, now there's a whole other thing.
Okay, someone who approves of revenge.
Attention. The class monitor and teacher of room 9 will report to the supply room immediately to begin the annual
This is one where
paper clips, rubber bands,
I think it's hard not to talk about this one without referencing what Enter said. And he felt that
Mrs. Brinks's class.
Nanette and Miss Brinks
Please
weren't
report to the
bad
playground.
enough
except
to deserve the revenge fantasy and
this.
this twist punishment.
Somebody named Jerry order a pizza?
And Miss Brinks, she punished Angela unfairly yet again, so I do think she's a bit more deserving. And Nanette's a bit more of a debatable case, since she can be interpreted as genuinely trying to warm up to Jerry, genuinely trying to get in her good graces without coming off as a suck-up. And I do get that. I actually do see that in this one, because she's not saying, oh, I'll give you this pate for a good grade. She's just genuinely offering it. And the performance is sweeter than usual. Well, that's because Jerry has power. But the thing I wanted to say about this episode, candles and joke, that's funny. Anyways, but the big thing is, Jerry is a really interesting character, and it's a real shame they didn't use her more. Because it is so rare for somebody in power to be on Angela's side. She is so often antagonized by somebody. Her older brothers, Miss Brinks, Nanette. And it's rare that somebody's on her side, so that's Jerry. And she is, which is really cool to see. That could have led to some really fun dynamics, really fun stories. One example is that Angela's now finally excited to do something for school because she has a teacher who likes her. That's interesting. Yeah, Jerry's not the most professional teacher for encouraging revenge. It's still kind of petty. And Jerry's also somebody that can go a couple of different ways in terms of how to interpret her. Because she could be somebody who's a much more reasonable teacher who gives this class some much needed order. She could be a mischievous teacher who helps out underdog students like Angela who constantly get treated unfairly that the system tends to ignore. Or she could just be another Miss Brinks who's jaded and bitter and unfairly rewards Angela, unfairly punishes Nanette. Any one of those ways would have been really interesting. So really it's a shame they didn't use her more, because there are some really, really good ideas here. And I do think it's, well, you know, it's not one of the strongest episodes. Like I said, there are people who do think that people don't feel like Angela's revenge fantasy was deserved here. I think I'm a bit more half and half on it. Miss Brinks, yes. Nanette, a little less so. But Nanette does break the project, and which is what leads Angela to getting in trouble unfairly again. And Miss Brinks is so ready to punish her for it. And I personally don't think Jerry's all that awful to Nanette, because Nanette's almost always in power, always the favored student. And she could easily just be here just wanting attention because she doesn't like losing it. She could be this entitled student who's so used to being in the spotlight she can't handle when she's not. I could see that a bit here. And Jerry just pointing out, hey, no, look, you're not that special in the grand scheme of things. So maybe tighten it up a bit. Because this is one I think maybe a rewrite or two could have really strengthened it. I found it interesting. And I think, well, honestly, and in a reboot, I would definitely use Jerry more.